Don't be so skittish. Now, you obviously understand that it's completely appropriate to let a woman like me find out while I'm on the streets and homeless and being attempted for extortion into cooperating with acts of prostitution. And then I called the homicide department, and the police officer literally calls me a clitoris, right? I mean, it was completely appropriate. That was absolutely the appropriate way for me to find out about it. When I sought help with what the implications were, everything everybody else did was completely appropriate, except it wasn't, right? I mean, is that what you mean? Well, they didn't tell the truth. What he did was materially and factually incorrect. In August 2017, Cohen began drafting a statement about Trump Tower Moscow to submit to Congress along with his document production. The final version of the statement contained several false statements about the project. First, although the Trump Organization continued to pursue the project until at least June 2016, the statement said, quote, the proposal was under consideration at the Trump Organization from September 2015 until the end of January 2016. By the end of January 2016, I determined that the proposal was not feasible for a variety of business reasons and should not be pursued further. Based on my business determinations, the Trump Organization abandoned the proposal. Well, there's a big difference between June 2016 and January 2016. Now, if we think about what was going on in the United States, you know one thing that it changed? Well, I'll tell you one thing that it changed. The special orders that had been given to the Department of Homeland Security in August of 2015 to be put into effect at the beginning of January of 2016 had gone into effect. And scores of undocumented immigrants were rounded up and detained. A lot of them were then required to get a bail bond. And there was all kinds of very important Christian organizing and other kinds of organizing, you know, from the left, from progressive communities of those that were supportive of immigrants' rights, to assure that the resources were made available to provide them with bail bonds. Don't worry, we'll pay for the bail bond, right? And all of that was already known by the end of December 2015. But was it actually going to be applied? Was it actually going to be implemented? How long after one is detained in such a situation does it take for them to actually get to their hearing? How long does it take for the tranches of bail bonds that have been hooked up on them to clear? How long do the providers of the bail bond funds, who would then be the holders of the bonds themselves, have to use activities connected to the movements and the resource acquisition of those immigrants, or those people that were identified as undocumented immigrants? How long do they have to work with and try to find alternative arrangements when it comes to supporting the kind of activities that good people do support when they're supporting somebody with a bail bond in such a manner? See, all of that would have been what was going on in January that would have had a very material impact on a distinction between canceling a project in January versus canceling it in June. No, 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 no. It was still going on until June. Is that because you weren't really interested in correlations domestically, including during a campaign season, as much as you were tax policy in Russia? See, if the business arrangement ended in January, per the documentation of the entity concerned, then certain tax policy changes that happened in early 2016, including April and May of 2016, would not have applied to that project because the law had not gone into effect. But if you force the issue and say, no, you were actually involved until June, well, that has a very different implication when one is talking about responsibilities and obligations. You see, you want to talk about the Trump Tower, right? Is the threat the tower? Or is the threat connected to the parcel upon which the tower would be located, right? I mean, here it is. This is an information, presumably official information from an authoritative source, right? What does this say? Russian State Duma adopts law introducing additional tax benefits for entities involved in regional investment projects and special investment contracts. May 23rd, 2016. Then there is tax law incentives for other regions besides Moscow. But the one that's very important, in addition to the auditing procedures on May 6th of 2016, is this one. Where's this at? Here, let me see. What does this say? Okay, that's the next year. Tax benefits established for entities involved in SPICs, SPICS, in Kostroma region. Special investment contracts entitled to a reduced profit tax rate during the effective period of the relevant SPIC. April 27, 2016. There's other things in here, including ones having to do with taxes regarding ISPs, regarding the internet. Here's one here. 5 years starting from the month in which the right of ownership for each land plot originated. What is this? Ussurisk City District introduces land tax exemptions for residents of the free port of Vladivostok. You see, here's the situation. If you have somebody that has a plan to say, well, because you were involved in dubious real estate deals with a foreign government under sanction, then we are going to subject you to an investigation with an understanding that there is a period of 5 years where there's going to be an exemption from taxation. But after that 5 years, well, you better hope that somebody didn't set up a concurrent transaction with one of those short-term convertibles, where you bond it for a period of time to collect interest, but then after 5 years, you get to exercise an option to convert the bond into stock. Actual, literal stock. And if you can put a claim on somebody else's assets during those 5 years, so those interest payments go to you, including through, electronic accounts that have been characterized to represent or reflect that they're originating from people within your organization or people within your realm. And all that interest is charged to and necessitates a payout from your assets. But then that 5 years comes. Well, regardless of whether or not you win your damn claim, you've already placed the lien on it. And the exercise of the conversion option is for whom? Are you pissed that he chose Michael Cohen to be the lawyer? Were you hoping it would have been Stone? Were you really hoping to pin it on Giuliani? The time frame during which that 5 years would have come due was when? That's just Vladivostok. We're just talking about real estate. We're not talking about laws later having to do with things like, Convention on Laundering, Search, Seizure, and Confiscation of the Proceeds from Crime and the Financing of Terrorism. Well, that wasn't until July of 2017. How about, actually. That's pretty much all that you need to hear, isn't it? See, tax laws go into effect 1 year, while tax policy is pending in another area during the same time frame. I'm going to lay this down here. It's a very big difference. If you're going to push the point and you're going to insist that, no, you did not formally cancel that project until after those tax laws went into effect and your assets, or rather, your willingness to engage in negotiations had already been acknowledged during the time frame that tax was in effect. That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. And in the meantime, who are the actual assets you're discussing? All of this has been a cover up for the huge conspiracy that should have been revealed and actually prosecuted in the late 80s and 1990s. That's what this is, isn't it?